Hi everyone. We're just about to get started tonight. I'm just double checking. Yep, you can all see me. So, welcome to welcome to tonight's MOOC. So today we are going to be talking about using LinkedIn to elevate your social presence, and tonight we have been supported by the Cognizant Foundation. I'm Catherine. I'm a brand ambassador for Code First Girls, and I've taught a few Code First Girl courses in the past. So if you have any questions about CFG, just like generally, or any of our kind of specific upcoming opportunities, classes, and events, pop them in the chat and I will reply during the session. In my day job, I'm a data analyst for Channel 4. So if you have any questions about that, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat as we go through this session. So yeah, keep posting any questions for me or Deloni, add them in, and we can go through some of them at the end in the Q&A. So a bit about our partner tonight. Cognizant are a leading Fortune 500 technology company supporting clients in various industries. From transport to healthcare, sports, and many more, Cognizant are solving clients' problems using digital. Through Cognizant Outreach, who Deloni is here with tonight, the company's volunteering-led social impact program, they're on a mission to drive inclusion in tech. They strongly believe that regardless of your race, gender, pronouns, and socioeconomic background, there's a place in tech for everyone. Deloni is a senior consultant at Cognizant, advising clients on how to use digital tools and technology to maximize their business efforts and results. Prior to Cognizant, she was a marketing manager and she elevated her LinkedIn network to change career. So she is going to be presenting tonight and talking us through how to elevate your LinkedIn, which is something that I can also use some advice on. So I'll be taking notes, and I'm going to add Deloni in now so she can start presenting. Hey Deloni, you're live.
Hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Brilliant. I will share my screen and then we can get the show on the road.
For real.
2 seconds. Awesome. Shall I get going?
Yeah, go for it.
One thing I have noticed, apologies, is that it's not January 2022, it's actually February 2022. But aside from keeping a check on calendar, I'm here today to talk to you about using LinkedIn to elevate your social presence. So just to give you an idea of what we're going to be going through today, we'll start off with a bit of an introduction. Then we'll talk through setting up your LinkedIn profile, how to effectively use LinkedIn, some top tips, protecting yourself and your LinkedIn account, and then there'll be some key learnings and then followed by a Q&A session. So a little bit about who I am. As you know, I'm a senior consultant at Cognizant. I help clients to use technology and digital tools to make their organizations more effective and really drive results. One of the reasons that I'm really excited to be here today is because I used LinkedIn myself to change my career. So prior to Cognizant, I worked as a marketing manager. So I really do believe in LinkedIn and the power of LinkedIn, and I hope you guys will get the same results as I did. So we'll start by talking about how LinkedIn is different from other social channels. So every social media channel is different content, different network, different reputation, different audience, and different purpose. So just think of the way that you use Instagram versus Twitter and also Facebook versus Twitter. They all have their different reasons. They all have their different purposes, and you use them completely differently. And LinkedIn falls within the social media umbrella. LinkedIn is a professional social media platform. It's also the largest professional network with over 690 million members. And that number is growing every day. I did read somewhere actually that each connection made introduces you to an average of about 400 new people. So it's huge. LinkedIn's mission is to connect the world's professionals to make them more productive and successful. And LinkedIn is for anyone who wishes to develop and grow their network and career. Why is LinkedIn important? I hear you all ask. Well, what happens when you speak to someone for the first time? Chances are you jump on your phone, you jump on your nearest device, and you Google them. And it's the same for LinkedIn and when you speak with a recruiter or when you send your CV into a company. The chances are that once your CV is in the system or once they receive your CV in front of you, they will check you up on LinkedIn and to see if you have a profile and to see if the LinkedIn profile matches the CV. The question, do you ever Google yourself, is actually really important, because one of the things when you are creating a LinkedIn account is also to have just a general social media clear out or a social media spring clean. I'm not saying that you need to remove all of your other social accounts, but it's just good to have a sense of exactly what is presented when you do Google yourself and the type of information that there is there about you. And then you can do some housekeeping and tidy them up and make some profiles private if necessary, or just generally just give them a tidy up. And so this session is going to help you build your LinkedIn profile and your reputation. And the question that you need to ask yourself is, what do you want people to think of you? And then how can we then embed that into your LinkedIn profile? So let's get going. To set up your LinkedIn profile, it's really quick and easy. I'm not sure how many of you already have a LinkedIn account. If you do, you can say yes or no in the chat. Feel free to do that. But if you don't have an account, all you need is an email address. I say all you need is an email address, but there is a caveat on that. Make sure that your email address is a professional one. So I know that my first email address, I won't say it out loud because it still makes my toes curl when I think about it these days, but I had an exceptionally cringeworthy email address. So if yours is the same, then just change it to a professional, whether it's your first and your last name or your first, last name and a few numbers, whatever resonates with you, but just make sure it's professional. So once you have a professional email address, that's all you need to create an account. And then what we're going to do throughout this session today is go through the next 10 steps that you can see on screen here to get your LinkedIn profile set up properly. Don't worry, you don't need to complete all of these steps to get your profile up and running, but of course doing so is going to help make your profile stand out and it's going to make it easier for other people to find you. And that's what we're here to do today, is to elevate your LinkedIn profile. So we'll start with number one, your profile picture. So LinkedIn profiles with pictures are viewed 14 times more than ones without, but you need a good one. If we look at the top row, we can see here that these aren't the best LinkedIn profile pictures. The first lady is wearing a pair of glasses. We've got a selfie. We've got somebody else in the photo and then also in the pub. And it just goes back to how we started the session about the different types of social media channels and their purposes and the context of them as well. So you might have a photo of a lovely selfie of yourself that you took for your LinkedIn, for your Facebook profile account or your Instagram profile account, but that isn't appropriate for LinkedIn. Same as if you're on holiday with a cocktail in your hand, that might be great for Facebook, but not necessarily for LinkedIn. You can see on the bottom row here, these are profile photos which are appropriate for LinkedIn. And the main thing to remember is you need to have a profile picture which represents you as a brand, which represents the type of role that you are going for, the type of candidate that you are, the type of employee that you are. What I mean by that is if you are, let's say, applying for a role as a graphic designer, you might not want to take a photo or to have your LinkedIn profile picture with you wearing a suit. You might want to have something wearing a bit more graphic designy, shall we say? And then on the other hand, let's just say you're going for an accountant or a management consultant or maybe for a banking role, then it's probably better for you to have a profile picture which represents that, so you're looking that little bit smarter. So some top tips for a good profile picture is a neutral background. You should be alone so that people don't get confused about who you are. I'm sure we've all been there before when we're looking at a photo, we're not quite sure who we're speaking to. As I've mentioned, it should reflect your personal brand. It should fit your role. It should look like you. And this is something that I'm terrible at doing and need to get better at. But it's making sure that you keep your profile picture updated. So if you are 40 years old, chances are you shouldn't be using your 20-year-old photo. Make sure that the photo looks like you. And then all that is it's less of a surprise then when you go in for the job interview, they know who they've been speaking to and vice versa. And also the photo should be good quality. So I'll pause here for a couple of minutes, and I just want you to think about the type of photo that you want for your profile. So if I flip back to the slide, just remember it should reflect your personal brand, neutral background, should be alone, fit your role, look like you, and good quality. So have a think about the type of role which you're wanting to go for, the kind of industry that you're trying to tap into, and then just have a think and jot down some ideas of the kind of profile picture that you should be taking or you should upload. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about that. Again, feel free to drop down your ideas in the chat. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah, just to jump in with a few of the replies we had to your initial question of, do people have a LinkedIn account already? It's seeming like most of the people on this call do have a LinkedIn account, but are looking to kind of upgrade it or revamp it, which I think I would also be interested in as well. So I think there's a lot of people,
exactly
a lot of people. I think it's one of those platforms. A lot of people are using it, but maybe not getting as much out of it as they could. So it's great to see everyone's wanting to kind of utilize it a bit more.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we're here to do today. And as I said, I think it's a great tool. I think it's really important that everybody has one. It's essentially your online CV. And we'll get on to applying for jobs, etc. later down the line in this presentation. But if you keep your LinkedIn CV up to date, it makes it so much easier to apply for roles.
Yeah, it's a massive help. I found my current job I found on LinkedIn, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, Channel 4 only advertise on their internal website and LinkedIn. So if you want a job at Channel 4, you either need to be really on it with checking the website, or you need to be on LinkedIn. And well, I'm not organised.
I think a lot of companies are tending to, I think the trend these days is for them to recruit on using LinkedIn rather than, I guess, relying heavily on recruitment agencies. They still do that. But also, if they have the right people following them, then they already have a pool of great candidates who are already engaged with the company. So it's definitely an effective tool.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's good to know.
Cool. So I think that's been around 2 minutes, maybe a few more seconds. I hope everyone's got a good idea of what they're looking for their profile picture.
Yeah, please do post in the chat if you have any thoughts. I think it's a really good point that there's going to be sort of different answers for different industries. So if anyone here is kind of looking at a specific industry, it'd be great to hear if you have any thoughts about that. And yeah, if you just pop them in the chat, then we can read them out.
Shall I move on for now?
Yeah, go for it.
And then hopefully we'll get some answers in the chat. I'm just conscious of time. There's quite a lot to get through.
Yeah, I'll let you know if there's any more comments in the chat.
Awesome, thank you. So we've got our profile picture. We're happy with that. That's uploaded. The next thing that we need to do is list our names. And so what you need to do here is list the name that people know you by, but not a nickname. And it should also be the name that is on your CV so they both match. I know it sounds really simple, but again, it's just keeping it consistent with your CV. The next thing we're going to do is write our profile headline. So here we can include job titles and the type of work that, or the type of work that you're looking for. So as an example, as you can see on screen, it's searching for a challenging position in digital consulting. What you can also do is you can also tell your story in a soundbite. So you could be, as an example, an ambitious student looking for intern opportunities in data analytics. So your name and headline appears in Google search results. So this is why it's so important to make sure that your name matches your CV. And also it's the name that everybody knows you by. And also get clear on who you are and what you're looking for. I'll give you, well, we've got 5 minutes down on this slide, but let's see how you get on in about 3 minutes. And what I want you to do is think about your profile headline. So again, thinking back to who you are, and what is it you want people to know. So your headline is what's going to appear first. So what is the headline about you? Or what is your headline, actually? That's better English.
We've got a few sort of questions and comments from the previous section. If not, is now an okay time to jump in with those?
Yeah. We can go through them, and while everyone else is thinking about their headlines.
Brill. So firstly, so Anna said using a photo with a friendly smile, which I think is a really good piece of advice. You definitely want to seem like approachable and friendly.
Agree.
And there's a couple of questions. So Ellen asked, what if you're not sure about the role you're looking for, which I think is a really, really good question.
So I would suggest, if you're not sure what kind of role you're looking for and you're open to different opportunities, and just willing to explore generally, which avenue to go down, keep it neutral. So still wear something smart, neutral background, and just have that polished look about you.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, don't overthink it. I think there are, like you said, there are specific roles where if you're looking at like a more creative industry, that's something to bear in mind. But I think also, like, if you just go with something that shows your kind of personality, that's a pretty good shout.
Yeah, exactly. I think in that instance, as you said, it's making sure that your personality comes through, and it's keeping it neutral. You can't go wrong with being neutral.
Yeah, definitely. And then there's also a question from, I'm also curious about this. So Rachel said she's curious about the kind of the point of not using a selfie. Which, thinking on it, my LinkedIn profile picture is also a selfie. So maybe just a bit more information about kind of what your reasoning is with that.
It's an interesting question. I think selfie has a particular association with it. There's nothing wrong with taking a selfie. I think it's just depending on, it's more. I'm trying to think how to phrase this. I guess it's not posing as such for a selfie. I mean, obviously, if you're not comfortable with asking someone to take your photo for you, then of course go for a selfie. But it's just making sure that you still have that professional look within your selfie, and it's not, pouting or winking towards the camera, which is, I guess, generally the association that kind of goes with taking a selfie.
Yeah, I agree. It's about context, isn't it?
It's about context. But on that point, though, of not feeling comfortable, not having anyone to take your photo, ask a friend, ask your best friend. They won't mind. And I'm sure if you were to ask them, would you mind taking a photo of me for a LinkedIn profile? Their response would be, oh, yes, of course, I don't mind. Would you mind taking mine? My first ever LinkedIn profile was taken by a friend, and I remember feeling so embarrassed at the time, having to stand there and smile. But yeah, there's nothing to be ashamed of. It's what friends are for, or family, or colleagues.
Yeah, I've definitely done that with my partner before, and just, taken half an hour out of the workday to do like a LinkedIn photo sesh.
I find LinkedIn profile photos as well as passport photos are probably two of the most difficult photos you'll ever take. And they don't need to be. And I think it's just because we overthink them. And I guess the main thing there again is don't overthink it. It's just a photo representing it's a photo representing who you are.
Yeah, totally. So that was the questions we had about that, and we've had a few responses for this this profile headline section.
Cool.
So another question that I think is a really good question is from Rachel again. Are emojis acceptable? How do we feel about emojis?
Personally, I would say no. I think there's a time and a place for emoji, and LinkedIn is not it. Of course, it might be different if you're applying for a role at Emoji themselves. I think it's with context, but personally, I would try to not use them, especially on your profile. I think it's different if you're sending someone a smiley face with a message or within a message.
That's good to know. And we've got a couple of examples. So Rachel has, although it goes against what you've just said, I'm gonna share Rachel's headline. which does feature some emojis, but I think she's used them in quite an interesting way. So this is Rachel's current headline.
How do I see if I'm still sharing?
Oh, can you not? Oh, well, I can show it. It says second line support engineer, cloud cover IT, ex Apple, ex Monzo, dog mom, and learning to code. So I think that's like a fun example of a headline.
That's a really snappy headline. Yeah,
I like that. I really like that. And so Rachel's used some like emojis to kind of illustrate each point, which I really like. We've also got from IDEA, so a communication officer transitioning to front-end development, but she would like some tips on how to revamp it, if you have any advice for how to improve that.
It's quite difficult without being able to see it on screen, but what might be best is if we take specific questions like that, and maybe we can get back to them.
Yeah, totally. We can save that for the end.
Yeah, exactly. I think the main thing to remember is it's those points. It's what do you want to be known for? It's keeping it. So looking at the two examples which are on screen now. So you've got searching for a challenging position in digital consulting and ambitious youth and looking for intern opportunities in data analytics. The headline isn't going to be your profile. It's just a short, snappy summary of who you are and what you're looking for. So it could be what your job is. So as the example that we've got here is consultant, digital strategy, Cognizant consulting. So straight away, we know that Emily is a consultant. She sits within a digital strategy practice. So that's what she consults in. And she works for Cognizant Consulting. So we know who Emily is, what Emily is about within the headline. There is a whole profile section which you can then elaborate on more detail. Right, we'll move on. So the next thing, number 4, is selecting your location, and this will help you find jobs of interest in your area. So you can be as specific here as where you can put country, you can put postcode, and then you can put also locations within this area. If you are searching for a job in, let's just say that you're based in London, but you want to move to Manchester, well, then you can put there that your locations within the UK that you're looking for is Manchester. If you're looking for a job in France and you're based in London, then you'd put the country as France and the location as Paris. So this is just going to help you find jobs of interest in the area that you're looking for. Also, you can select the industry you work in, have experience in, or aspire to work in. So if you want if you have aspirations to work within a management consulting firm, then pop that down as your industry. And we'll see later on when we get to the jobs, how this all helps to make applying for a job easier for you. So this is your summary. So what we were discussing earlier was your headline, and that's just a short line that comes underneath your name as you search for that, as you search for yourself on Google, or as a recruiter will search for you. You now have the opportunity to write your summary, so you can really elaborate on who you are, what you're looking for, what your experience is in, what you enjoy doing, your passions, etc. So you can read the example summary on the right-hand side. And as you do that, I will just talk you through some tips. So always write in the first person. Always make it easy to read. Make sure that you include your speciality. So what are you known for? What are you good at? What do you enjoy? Highlight the key points about yourself. So again, what are your skills? What are you looking to do? What are your, sorry, I've just had mind blank, characteristics that you're proud of, that you want people to know. Include keywords. So if you are desperately trying to break into an industry, then a tip here could be that you could just have a look through their website, read some articles, go on their social channels, and just pick up on some of those keywords that they use, and then also try to implement those keywords within your summary where it works. So as an example, Cognizant, we specialize in technology and digital tools. So it would make sense to include keywords there, such as technology and digital, where I have those experience or those skills, to make sure that it stands out and that I look like a right fit for that company. And also, the most important thing here is keep it human. You're not a robot at the end of the day. People do like personality, and your personality is what makes you stand out from the crowd. So do make sure that you keep it human. So what I'd like you to do next is just spend a bit of time thinking about the 5 things that you want to include in your summary. And what I'll do is I'll flip back to the screen above, just so you have the example summary there to, if that's of any help. I read a stat, I think this probably changes every week, but currently I think the concentration span of a person is 8 seconds. So bear that in mind as well when you're writing your summary. I think the main thing, again, is to not write a summary that's too long. Your LinkedIn profile should give that person a flavor of who you are, a flavor of what you do, a flavor of what you have done, a flavor of your skills, and that it entices them to have a conversation with you. And then you can then have that conversation and an in more detail conversation around the kind of job that you're looking for and what you can bring to the table. So it's making sure that there's enough information out there so that you can stand out, but it's not going overboard in the summary, so that there's still something left to talk about when you go for your interview.
I believe we're down to 8 seconds now. But every time I hear the stat, it's like lower. It went from like 5 minutes to 30 seconds.
I think I'm not quite sure what the concentration span of a goldfish is, but I think we're getting closer and closer.
I think we're possibly lower now.
Oh wow!
I think this doing 5 points, I think, is that's like a really good amount of things to try and cover. There's a stat. I had a friend who used to work in like in media, in the news, and did a lot of like listicles, and they always said that odd numbers apparently are a good amount of things to have in a listicle. People find like 5 or 7 or 9 more captivating than even numbers for some reason.
Oh, that's interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah, I always go for 5. I think 10 is too long and 3 is too short. So I think 5 is like that nice in-betweeny number.
Yeah. I think I agree. I think 5 is a really good number.
How is everyone getting on? It's really weird that I can't see anyone.
Yeah, I think everyone's getting on okay. Rachel's commented that social media probably isn't helping with the attention span, which I totally agree with.
Oh, I completely agree. I regularly go on social culls where I just stop myself from going on social media, apart from LinkedIn, of course. But we'll get on to why I think LinkedIn is particularly great. There's so much more to LinkedIn than just creating a CV, and it's that whole community, building a community and having that community there to support you. I think that's what's so great about it. But yeah, I completely agree. I think social media definitely has an impact on people's concentration spans.
Yeah, it's definitely, it'll be interesting to see kind of how it pans out over the years. I think for me, because I work in social media, and not so much now, but previous jobs I was doing like content creation for social media. So for me, I don't tend to go on it so much in my spare time now because it feels like work.
That's probably a good thing. Maybe that's what we should all do, get a job in social media for a little while.
Yeah, that'll be enough, and then you'll never want to go on it in your spare time again.
Cool. In the interest of time, I'm just going to scooch on a little.
Yeah, go for it.
Hopefully you've all got 5 things to include in your summary. So next we get on to listing jobs and relevant experience. And a question I get asked here quite a lot is, well, I've not had a job. This is why I'm on your course, so that I can learn how to apply for a job and stand out when I am applying for a job. It's fine if you don't have any jobs to list on your LinkedIn. You can list relevant experience. And the thing that you can do here is, as an example, you may have done a university project, or you may have done a project at school or at college where you took on a particular role. You can talk about that role and also the accomplishments of each role that you took, and what was the final outcome. So were you the project manager, and because you were the project manager, your team were able to finish the presentation or finish the product that you were creating ahead of time. So use your relevant experience to build up your LinkedIn profile for the role that you want. Also on there, you can list your education. Of course, you don't have to if you don't want to. And this will just give it should just give a high-level overview of your education history. So university, college, school, if you'd like. Be sure to include any qualifications, certifications, or any training that you've done. And that training could be training that you have done through work, or it could also be independent training. And then finally, list any skills and expertise. So keywords used in your profile headline and summary should match with this list. You choose the skills that relate to the job or the role that you're interested in. And also include personal skills that show who you are. I think soft skills are, it's not even I think, soft skills are incredibly important. It's how you can communicate. It's how you work as a team. All of those skills are so important. So make sure that you make a note of them. You can also ask for people to endorse you for your skills. So as you can see here, this person's profile, they've been endorsed by 15 different people for teamwork. I would ask for endorsements, or just be careful when you do ask for endorsements. Make sure that you actually know the person that is endorsing you or the person that you're requesting to be endorsed from, and only be endorsed for the skills that you are actually that you genuinely have, and the person that is endorsing you can vouch for you. And you can add as many. I don't think there's a cap on how many skills that you can actually add to your profile. I might need to check that one and let you know. Another exercise, think about the skills and expertise you want to be known for. So you can look back at your headline. You can also look back through your summary, and that will be a good starting point to some of the skills that you are known for. And just remember those the soft skills. So communication and teamwork, ability to work under pressure, flexible. They are really important to note.
Do you have any advice for like thinking about, I guess, how to decide, which skills do you want to be like? Do you think you should be focusing on what is your most marketable skills, or what's the most important to you as an individual, or how do you kind of pick the specific things that you think should go on that list?
So I think that comes down to the individual and the type of role that you're going for. So if you are at the very beginning of your career and you have an industry or a career in mind, then there are websites out there that you can go on which will then list some of the skills that job is looking for. So that could be a good place to start. But it's thinking back through what have people praised you on in the past? Have they said that you were amazing at leading a team? Have they said that you solved an incredibly difficult problem? It completely depends on, as I said, what you've achieved in the past, just some general feedback that you've heard, and also the kind of work that you are trying to go into. So as an example, when I was changing my career from working as a marketing manager to a consultant, one of the things that I did was I did a lot of research around what does a consultant do? What kind of skills does a consultant need? All of those kind of research that I did. So I not only did I do that research online, I actually spoke to a few people. I found some consultants that I could speak to and get some information from them around the kind of stuff that they did on a day-to-day basis, the kind of skills that were required, the kind of skills that that they would be able to develop as part of the job. So it's doing the research on what you're wanting to do.
Yeah, I think that's really, really good advice. I think, yeah, if you can talk to either like talking to a friend or talking to professionals, I think can be a great way to kind of get started on this sort of thing. It also
100%.
means you can have a really good honest answer if you get asked that interview question of like, how would your friends describe you?
Yeah, of course. And everybody wants to help. I think it comes back down to basic human instinct. We want to help others around us. So if you contact someone, maybe who's someone that you've worked with, or someone that you went to school with, or college with, or university with, or a close friend, a family member, your local shopkeeper, whoever that person may be, if you were to just ask them, can I ask you a question? I'm developing my LinkedIn profile. I'm thinking about taking, steps into changing my career, or I'm thinking about my first job. I'm just quite keen to explore what kind of skills do you think I have? What have you noticed about me in terms of my skill sets? Everyone is always more than happy to help. Later on in the course as well, we are talking about how to reach out to people on LinkedIn and how to do that effectively. And that could be a question that you ask them. It's, we work together at so-and-so, or we were on the same course together, or I met you in this networking event. How would you not recommend, sorry, but what would you have to say about my soft skills? So there are plenty of ways that you can get that feedback. Just don't be shy to ask for it. And yeah, everyone is always willing to help. Sorry, I felt like I rambled on a bit there.
No, you didn't. I think, I totally agree. I think I like the saying of shy Burns getting out. You've got to ask for things, and at the end of the worst that anyone can ever say is no. So if you go in remembering that, and a lot of the time people will kind of be totally willing to help with whatever you're asking for as well.
Yeah, exactly. As I said, when I was changing career, I spoke with a good handful of consultants from different consulting firms. And not one of them said no to taking half an hour out of their day, 20 minutes, half an hour out of the day to talk to me about what they did in their role, what the day-to-day looked like, how best routes to get into the industry, what you can expect from joining the industry. Nobody said no. Right, we'll move on. So hopefully you've all got your list of skills and expertise now. The next we're going to get on to, and this is what the next section of the course is all about, is how to use your LinkedIn profile to find and connect with people, jobs, and groups. So connecting with people, you can connect with colleagues, you can connect with recruiters, you can connect with subject matter experts, company owners. You can also connect with specific jobs or companies. And also the one thing that I think LinkedIn is absolutely fantastic for is connecting with groups that you're interested in. So within these groups, you can find networking groups, events to go to. You can always educate and seek help. And also you can advertise your own business or if you have one. So I think LinkedIn is absolutely fantastic for the groups. And as I said, the next part of this course is looking at how to elevate your LinkedIn profile to get the most out of it. So we'll head straight in. So the first thing that LinkedIn is known for, of course, is connecting with people of interest. To do this is super easy. You navigate to the search bar at the top of the page. You begin to search for a name. I'm quite lucky. I have quite an unusual name, so I'm quite easy to find. I'm probably the most stalkable person out there. But as you start searching for a person's name, a list of suggestions should appear. Make sure when you are looking through them that you have found the right person that you're looking for. There might be, if it's a fairly generic name, there might be a few of them. So you can see the headline afterwards. You can see what company they work for. So that should help you make sure that you've got the right person. Once you think you found the right person, you can click on their name and you'll be taken to their profile page. And then once you're on their page, you can take that time to review their profile. The one thing I will note here, if your account isn't private, when you look at someone's profile, it will show that you have looked and vice versa. Whereas if your profile is private, and we'll get onto how you do that later on in the course, that you will just get a generic, someone from this company has looked at your profile, or sometimes it'll just say a person has looked at your profile. There is, of course, the option to be a premium LinkedIn member. And if you are a premium LinkedIn member, they do run every now and then. There is a fee for being a premium LinkedIn member. How many times have I said LinkedIn member in a minute there? It's quite impressive. There is a fee to use that service, but sometimes they do offer like an introductory free 7-day trial period for you to see if that's something that will help you. If you do subscribe to the service, then you can also connect with people who are not in your who you're not connected with yet. You can send them an in-mail. Once you're ready to connect with them, so you've read their profile, definitely the right person, you want to connect, you click on the blue connect button. Once you have clicked connect, you have you will be given the option to either send a generic request to your contact. So this is just your invitation is on its way, and then they'll just see Delaney Jones wants to connect with you. Or you can add a note or message to your request. My advice is to try and send a personalized message when you connect. Especially if this person has met a lot of people, it just makes it easier for them to narrow it down and think of you specifically as a person. And it might increase the chances of that person connecting you if you don't necessarily know them yet. And don't worry, I've got some tips on how to send a personalized message coming up. Ta-da! So sending a message and creating the right impression. So as I said, if you add a note to your connect request or message someone, then chances are it might increase your chances of them accepting you as a request. But make sure that you consider the purpose, the tone, and the structure of your message. You've got one chance to get it right by sending a message and ensuring that you create the right impression. So let's go through each of those. So purpose, consider why you are sending the message. Is it someone you met at an event? Is it a recruiter to help you find a job? Is it a new colleague, a former co-worker, someone you want a job from, or is it requesting a recommendation? So think about, why am I wanting to connect with this person? And that will, again, it will just make you adjust your message slightly depending on what the goal is. So as an example, if it's someone that you met at an event, it could be, oh, hi, not that I would suggest starting an email with O, but you could say, hello, we met at X event, we got discussing holidays, and I remember you mentioning that you were off to New York. This is a restaurant that I went to last October. It's fantastic. Book in advance. It's just making it personal. It's making you stand out. And again, it's just increasing your chances of being able to connect with that person. Think about your tone. Are you formal or informal? 35% of recipients will only open a message if the subject line resonates with them. And that is a pretty punchy stat. So this is why you need to really consider what you're sending. And as I said, to make you get that one chance to make the right impression. Sending cold messages probably isn't going to work. You need to make sure that you find the balance between standing out and still being seen as professional. Structure. So I mentioned when you guys were all noting down some thoughts down on one of the exercises, that the average person's concentration span these days is around 8 seconds. So when you're sending a message, your key points needs to be concise and clear. Your message may only be briefly scanned, especially if you're sending a request to someone who gets a load of requests a day. So you want to make sure that you get your point across as quickly as possible. So my favorite part of LinkedIn is joining groups of interest. And I think this is fantastic. And I know I've said that already. But on LinkedIn, you can search for groups using the search bar at the top of the page. So you can search for a term or a group or anything that you might be interested in. And then it will show up some suggestions of groups that you can join. So as an example, I'm really interested in psychology and psychology in the workplace. So those could be some keywords that I would type into there to find the group that I'm interested in joining. So once you've typed in your keywords or you search for a term for a group, you'll get a long list of groups. There are loads of them. So select the group that you're interested in joining and you'll be taken to their homepage, so you can just get a bit more of a feel for that group before you actually take the plunge and join. So once you've clicked on a group, as I said, you're onto their homepage, and there you can find a bit more information to see if it's actually something that you want to join. If this is the right group, this example is around big data analytics, etc. So if this is the right group and you think this is the one that you want to join, then you can click on request to join. If not, there are, as you can see from this example here, there are a few different groups out there, so you can go through each one until you find the right group for you. Some groups work differently to others. Some you might need to be accepted by an admin. This could take a couple of days. I think the longest I've had to wait is about 48 hours. So don't be alarmed if you have to wait a couple of days to be approved. Sometimes the approval is almost instant. Once you've joined a group and they have approved you to join the group, then you can use this to network, as I mentioned, advertise yourself or your business. You can find out about events in your area of interest. And you can also ask questions and seek help from a community. So LinkedIn is amazing for building a community and for getting help and for getting those questions answered and finding like-minded people. And joining groups is the way to do it. So I'd highly recommend you joining groups within topics that you're interested in, or fields that you're interested in joining. Probably one of the things that LinkedIn is most known for, apart from connecting with people, is searching for jobs. So to search for a job of interest on LinkedIn, you navigate to the top, you click on jobs, and then if you remember at the very beginning, I mentioned to you, you enter the location of where you're looking to work and also the industry that you're either in or you want to go into. The reason why is because when you click on jobs, based on any previous work, education history, companies or groups you follow, industry that you've entered at the very beginning, LinkedIn will start to suggest jobs that you might be interested in. So this is why it's important to take some time to make sure you fill the fields in correctly, because it will save you time in the long run. You can also use the search bar to search for job titles, for keywords or companies based on your chosen location. So there's loads of options there on how you can search for jobs. So after you've searched, you will be presented with a list of results. So as you can see here at the top, if you're looking at the search bar, this person has searched for Cognizant and in London. So what they're now being shown is all the jobs that Cognizant have in London. There are filters that you can use to narrow down your results. And what you can also do is once you've narrowed down your results, you can save a job search and create an alert. So when a new job comes available, you'll be notified of it and you can apply for it in the future. So you could just be generally having a hunt for a job and thinking, oh, what else is out there, or what am I interested in? But it might not be quite the right time for you to apply right now, maybe due to personal situation, or it's at the moment you're just browsing. You can set an alert and then you'll be notified of that job in the future. Once you've selected a job you're interested in, you'll be taken, not be taken, but on the right hand side of the page you'll see a full job description, and there you can find out more detail about the job, how to apply, see if you have any connections already working for that company, which is brilliant if you do, and that's when you really get to use the whole LinkedIn and building your network, because then you can message that person saying, you know, I've come across this job, do you think it's a good fit, or what kind of skills are they definitely looking for? You know, based on my experience, do you think I need to tailor my CV, or is there anything that I need to highlight a bit more of? So this is why LinkedIn is brilliant. When you have found the job that you want to apply for, you can click on the apply button on the job description page. You can see that blue apply button there. So you can either it depends how it's set up with the company, but you might be taken through to their website to then apply. Another thing to note is you might sometimes see a what's the other button? I think it's rapid. Oh, no, it's not rapid apply. Quick reply or quick apply. I'm sorry, it's terrible of me. But there is a button that sometimes appears when you're applying for a job, as well as the apply, and it's something like quick apply. I'll find out exactly, and I'll follow that up. But what that button does is, if you click on it, it sends your LinkedIn page to the recruiter. So that is essentially your CV, and that's what LinkedIn is, really. It's your online CV. So if you see that button and it's a job that you want to apply for, my advice would be save the job, go back to your LinkedIn profile, check it, make sure it fits the job that you're applying for, make sure that your key skills are highlighted, that the job is asking for, tidy it up, check for typos, etc., and then go back and then hit on that button. That's going to bug me now. I can't remember what it's called, and I can't see anything on my screen apart from the slides. I'll get back to you on that one. But yeah, so just be careful when you do click that button that you have checked your LinkedIn profile. Also, within the job section, you are able to view and track any jobs you have applied for, so you can keep a track on them there. There is also an app, so don't miss out on notifications, and the app is brilliant for on-the-go use. I personally find the app a little bit easier to use than the website. So yeah, make sure you've got the app downloaded. There is also a separate LinkedIn learning app. And again, I think there is a fee for joining that, but they've got some brilliant courses on there. So, top tips for success on LinkedIn. I am conscious that I've just thrown a load of information out at you. So hopefully this slide just, I guess, consolidates everything that we've spoken about. So invest a good amount of time up front to create a detailed profile. As I said, you spend the time up front and it makes things easier and quicker on the other end. Keep it professional at all times. It's a professional social media. It's not your Facebook. It's not your Instagram. LinkedIn has a different purpose. Spend a small amount of regular time updating your profile. And this is really important. I know I'm guilty of it. I will update my LinkedIn and then I get completely consumed by work or doing something else, and then I forget to update it. But it's so important to keep it updated with, so if you go on a course, update your page with the course that you've been on. If you've learned a new skill, update your skill section. If you have a new job, update your LinkedIn profile. Just keep updating it as and when you go in. You can put a reminder on your phone. Maybe you want to do it every quarter. So every quarter, you just set aside half an hour, 45 minutes to update your LinkedIn. Personalized connection and recommendation requests. So make sure that you send a personalized message when you are sending a LinkedIn request. It really increases your chances of that person accepting. LinkedIn is also brilliant for the ability to research someone before you meet up with them for an interview or business meeting. This can just help with a small talk. It can help to find something in common. So you can look on their LinkedIn. You may have gone to the same university. You may be a part of the same group, and you both got involved in a group discussion. You might be interested in a company that they used to work for, as well as a company that they're working for now. It just really helps to build that relationship. Respond to your messages within 2 days. This is really important. Don't let your messages just linger. If someone's messaged you, reply within 2 days, even if it's an in-betweeny message where you reply to them saying, I've seen your message. I think this is a really interesting point. I am just a little bit swept off my feet at the moment with work. I will get back to you by the end of the week. It's the same as you wouldn't let an email go unanswered for, well, I hope you wouldn't let an email go unanswered. Send a welcome message that provides value. Regularly nurture relationships by, you can send them links. You can like a comment that they've posted. You can like an article that they've shared. You can send, I think I've already said, you can send them a message. But you know what I mean. It's just making sure that you keep those relationships nurtured. And also it's keeping your profile updated. And again, it's finding the balance between posting too much and too little. And it's going back to our initial conversation when we first started this course. It's around remembering that LinkedIn is a professional network. It's not your Facebook or your Instagram. You can post as much as you want on there, but I actually think that the same rule applies for all social media channels. But that's just my humble opinion. And then the don'ts. So don't bombard your connections with messages. So I think there's a fine line here between bombarding and, well, actually, no, it's not a fine line. There is a difference between bombarding your connections and following up with your connections. So if you have sent a request to someone and you've not heard back, and it's been a week and a half, there is no harm in sending a follow-up message and saying, just wanted to make sure that you had received my message. Looking forward to hearing from you soon. There's a difference between doing it, following up with a message a week and a half later, than bombarding them with messages day after day asking for a response. It's also knowing when just to kind of, I guess, cut that tie. As I've mentioned, don't overpost or overshare. Don't ask people you don't know for recommendations. So this goes back to the endorsements that we were first talking about at the beginning of the session. If you don't know them, then they're not going to add any value in endorsing you. Don't criticize or comment negatively in groups. Just remember, you want to show your best self on LinkedIn. It's your personal brand. It's your professional brand. You need to keep it professional. Don't ask people to like you on Facebook. It's a completely different social channel with a completely different set of purposes. Mentioned the endorsing, and also I think I've kind of been alluding to this quite a lot throughout the course. Don't treat LinkedIn like Facebook or Instagram. And I think these slides will be sent to you after this course as well. So don't feel like you have to try and remember all of them. And just a quick one as well on the don't criticize or comment negatively in groups. I think at the moment this is just social media in general. There's that big trolling. There's a lot of trolling happening on social media, and it's just cruel, to be perfectly honest. And I just think there's a way to get, if you don't necessarily agree with a point, there is a way to go about it. You could message that person directly and you can say, I respect your opinion. However, this would be my view on it. Or there are professional and constructive ways to get your comments across if you don't necessarily agree with something. And I think we are coming into the last section of the course, which is how to stay safe. Before we get into that, do we have any questions? Or shall we keep them all to the end? How are we doing on time?
Yeah, we're doing good for time. I don't think there's any. I think let's keep going and we can save them for the end. I don't think there's any that need to be added in just at this moment in time.
All right. Okay, brilliant. Cool. So staying safe on LinkedIn. As with all social media channels, you need to be, I guess, careful with your safety. So to be safe on LinkedIn, we recommend that you review the following: profile privacy. So here, once you go into your privacy settings, there are a number of things that you can do. So you can edit your public profile and review what you want the public to see. So in there, you can choose that they don't see your education, for example, or they might not see your email address. There are loads of stuff on there that that people who aren't connected with you can see. So you can limit that. You can share your profile edits. You can set that to no, and also profile viewing options. This is brilliant because what you can do is you can see what other people who aren't connected to you can see. And also, I mentioned to you earlier about how you can, sorry, I've got that wrong. The profile viewing options, I'm getting muddled up with social channels now. The profile viewing option is, you can set it to private mode if you don't want people to see that you've been looking at their profile. And of course, this is in your accounts section within the privacy section. So it's important that you're aware of your privacy settings. As I've mentioned before, it's really important that you do regularly keep an eye on this and update as you see fit. You can block and hide. You can block followers, and you can review who can see your public posts. You can choose to not share sharing data with third parties. You can set that to no. Of course, it's up to you if you want them to see it. And also you can do a two-step verification, which will make the login extra safe. So it just mitigates your risk of being hacked. And that's kind of it for how to elevate your profile on LinkedIn. We're going to go now into the what have you learned today. And to do this, I thought it would be quite fun to do a little quiz. So you can jot these answers down. There's not that many. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 questions. And then we'll do the short quiz and then we can go into a Q&A session. So question number 1, on the profile pictures that you can see on the right-hand side, which of these profile pictures is suitable to use? The next question, within how many days should you reply to a message? Question number 3, what other social channels should you not ask people to like you on? Question number 4, what percentage of recipients will only open a message if the subject line resonates with them? I definitely fall into this category. And on that, another thing you can think to yourself is, if you were on the receiving end, what would you think? So that's probably a good test for when you are writing a message, is put yourself in their shoes. Question number 5. When listing relevant experience or jobs, how many accomplishments for each position should you focus on? Should you ask people you don't know for recommendations? It's question number 6. And then the final question, question number 7, is should you be sharing your data with third parties? And then just to quickly run through the answers before we go into a Q&A, and I leave you alone to enjoy your Monday evening. So the profile pictures which are suitable to use are the ones highlighted with a blue frame on the screen. So it's the top right-hand one and the bottom left-hand photo. And the reason these are suitable to use is they're very neutral. They're reflective of the kind of roles that they're going for. They're alone. They're not in a pub. They're not wearing sunglasses. Within how many days should you reply to a message? The answer is 2. And just remember, if you can't get back to a full answer within 2 days, you can always just send an in-betweeny message saying to them that you have seen their message and you will get back to them by the end of the week or within a given time frame. What other social channels should you not ask people to like you on? Facebook. No. LinkedIn has its own purpose. It is a professional social media networking site. Facebook is a different type of social media, which you can post whatever you'd like on there. But again, a good challenge for yourself is Googling yourself and thinking, and if you do Google yourself and the results come up, ask yourself, are you comfortable with what recruiters can see? Because they will search for you on LinkedIn. What percentage of recipients will only open a message if the subject line resonates with them? That's 35%. And when listing relevant experience or jobs, you should list or focus on 2 to 3 accomplishments for each position. You shouldn't ask people you don't know for recommendations. It's as bizarre as going into your local shop and asking them if you're good at maths. Should you be sharing your data with third parties? Our advice here is no, you shouldn't be. And that brings us to the end of the course. Are there any questions?
Yep, we have got a few questions to share. So far, can you now see can you see me, Delony?
Yes, I can now.
Brill, because I'm going to bring them up on the screen so you'll be able to see them for reference.
Brilliant.
So I think
I've been speaking into a PowerPoint slide for the last hour and 10 minutes. It's nice to see a human being again.
I know I find it really stressful presenting online because you can't see people. So I guess one question, I think it'd be great to just hear a bit more about your current job and what it's like working for Cognizant.
Yeah, of course. I'll be honest. Cognizant is my first consulting role. I changed my career to go into management consulting from marketing, and I have not looked back once. I've had such a great experience of working at Cognizant. I'm working with brilliant people. I've had an incredible variety of projects. I've learned so much in the last 3 years. It's incredible. I'm surprised my brain hasn't exploded. There's lots of opportunities there for you to become an expert in what you want to. So it's quite nice, even though you're working for a company, you still have the opportunity to almost kind of carve your own career within that company. You have, well, personally, from my experience, I'm having really good conversations with people. Everybody's there is wanting to help. No question is too big. I feel like I've landed on my feet and I'm really enjoying it.
Oh, that's great. It sounds really good. I think I'll have to have a look at the listings for Cognizant based on that recommendation. So another question we've got is, are there any? I don't know if you're in any of these, but I was wondering if there are any like specific LinkedIn groups you would recommend, maybe with a sort of women in tech focus.
That's a really interesting question. I'll be honest, I've not joined any groups. I've been a bit slow on LinkedIn for the past couple of months. But there will definitely be some women in tech LinkedIn groups. There is actually a women in tech newsletter, which I have subscribed to. I will have a look through to see if they have a specific LinkedIn group to join. But yeah, there definitely will be. I can do some digging and send back some recommendations.
Yeah, that would be great. And we can add those in onto the comments afterwards as well. Another question is, do you think there's an optimal amount of posting on LinkedIn? So because I used to work in marketing as well, and there was a thing of like the optimal amount of Facebook posts is 1 per day. Do you think there's like something to aim for with doing regular posts on LinkedIn?
I think this question is quite subjective. It depends on what you're using LinkedIn for. It depends on what your role is. So as an example, if you're a recruiter, I would suspect that you're posting a lot more than once a day. It really depends on what you're using LinkedIn for and what you're finding. And I think I'm going to give a really annoying answer here, which is I think just use your common sense. I think it's about gauging your audience. It's about thinking about what you're really using LinkedIn for. And also I guess you can, by posting on LinkedIn, it's the same as using any other social media channel. You gauge what your audience interacts with. You gauge when they interact with your post. So if let's just say you send 3 posts out today, 1 at 9, 1 at 12, and 1 at 6, and you might get 5 likes at 6 o'clock, you might get 1 at 9 o'clock, and you might get none at 12 o'clock. So it just shows you, okay, well, I've sent 3 posts out. It shows actually I'm better off just sending 1 at 6. So I think it's really about knowing your audience.
Yeah, I think that's a really good piece of advice. It's definitely something that's like useful to think about, is when are people most likely to be active on the platform.
Yeah, and I would generally say, again, it depends on your role, but I think I would suspect that there is an uptake of people using LinkedIn during their commute, during a lunchtime, and on their commute home, and possibly on Sunday.
I think that, I agree. I think that would make total sense. I think commutes and lunchtimes would definitely be a good time to think about. So I think this is a really interesting question, and I'm excited to hear your thoughts on this. So Rachel has been seeing a lot of posts about politics and political parties on LinkedIn. What do you think about kind of using LinkedIn as a platform for, I guess, showcasing political opinions?
It's a good question. What's my opinion on that? I guess what I will say here is, if it's something that you don't necessarily want to see, you can always hide posts. You can hide posts from a specific person so that they don't then appear in your feed. So yeah, there are ways of controlling what you see and what you don't see. Around posting them, at the end of the day, it's your own agenda. I think there's always a way of, as I mentioned earlier, there is a way of getting your comment across which is quite constructive, rather than negative. And at the end of the day, it's your opinion. But yeah, you can hide certain posts if you don't necessarily want to see them. And I know there is a lot of political talk, not just on LinkedIn, everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely it's a bit of a judgment call, that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I think like you said, keeping it constructive, keeping things positive, I think is always really good advice for every situation, if you can.
Well, yeah. At the end of the day, LinkedIn is your brand. You create a LinkedIn profile to represent who you are as a person, what you're looking for, and just bear that in mind when you are posting stuff and what do you want people to think of you.
Yeah, definitely. That's really good advice. I've got another question from Rachel. So have you used LinkedIn certifications? Do you think these are valuable and kind of worth spending time on? Or is it worth looking at more established kind of certifications?
Good question. I will let you know. I do have a couple on my list that I want to actually do this year. It is my goal to use LinkedIn and get some certifications, especially around areas which I'd quite like to be known for. So the jury's still out on that one. I'll have to let you know in due course.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever. No, I've never done any LinkedIn certifications. I have done other ones. I think it really depends on what the skill is as well. I think sometimes, like something like coding, these kinds of certifications can be quite good because it's quite like a technical skill, so it can be kind of measured in a more objective way. But sometimes there are certain skills that are a bit more difficult to kind of measure via that kind of online platform, I suppose.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, no certification is a bad certification. And from what I've heard, like I said, the LinkedIn Learning platform is something that I want to use more and more of. I think there are some really great courses on there. I think there's some really good opportunities. I do know of companies who use LinkedIn Learning as their learning platform, so it's definitely growing. It's credible. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to. As I said, jury's still out on that one for me at the moment.
Yeah, I think we have access to it at my work, and I've done a couple of LinkedIn Learning courses, and I have found some really good ones. I think that is all of the questions we've got. So just to wrap up, I've got some links to share from Cognizant. So this is how you can kind of keep up with what's going on at Cognizant and see any job listings there if you want to. I've just posted those links in the chat. We've also got, so the Code First Girls nano degree application for summer is going to start opening up. So the nano degree is it's an intensive course which you can do in your evenings, but it's a really, really good option to have a look at if you're looking to kind of move into getting a job in tech. They'll basically teach you everything you need to know and then also set you up with job interviews. So keep an eye out for that. Cognizant are also sponsoring some spots on our courses. So I'll just share the links to those as well if you want to have a look at some more courses. And this YouTube video will be up for a week or two after this session. So if you want to come back and have a look at anything, then you can. Oh, and there's one more question for me from Shailan. So does Code First Girls offer mentoring? Not kind of, so we don't offer mentoring as like a, what's the word I'm looking for? We don't offer mentoring on its own, but something I would recommend you have a look at if you're interested in getting some mentoring from Code First Girls is the Code First Girls, oh, I've forgotten what the word is. One sec, I'm going to find the link. If you have a look at becoming a Code First, oh, the links aren't working. So if you have a look at the Code First Girls instructor roles, if you, oh, here it is, it's the fellowship. So the Code First Girls fellowship is a 2-month immersive program that Code First Girls run, where you teach a course, but within that you do get mentoring. So that would be the kind of only mentoring opportunity. Sorry, I don't know why the links aren't working, but once this is over, I will go onto the actual YouTube page and I'll post them in the chat on the YouTube page, and then maybe that will work. But otherwise, oh, I've just had a message. Cognizant will actually be offering mentoring. So Cognizant Outreach will be offering virtual mentoring from March 1st onwards. So that's definitely somewhere to have a look at for mentoring as well. And if you have a look on the Cognizant LinkedIn, the information will be there. Brill. So I think that's everything for tonight. And I'm gonna stay on after this and just make sure I can get all of those links working, but it's difficult to do that while I'm also talking. So thank you so much, Deloni. This has been really, really interesting, and I will definitely be taking some of your advice and removing that selfie from my LinkedIn page. And thank you so much for your time this evening.
No, you're welcome. I hope you've all found it helpful and at least have taken one thing home that you're going to implement and action on LinkedIn. And as I said, I think, well, it's worked for me and hopefully it'll work for you.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much. And I think that's everything for tonight then.
Cool. Well, enjoy the rest of your Monday evenings.
You too. Thanks, Deloni. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.